life. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm pretty much content with just rhyming all day.
Or digital can instantly share pictures.
I can start. Hello. I am sorry, but I must interrupt this show. Lander, you know what it is. Hey, ham solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's turn out we do. Hey. They said we said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you in red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you red fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make you bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Everything Plus Gaming on this fine Monday morning. I'm Loke7 and joining me today is Mr. Taye Talks. Taye, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Just got back from the cruise, so pretty chilled. It was a good experience, a fun family extended trip, so that's great. But yeah, back to business now.
Where'd you guys go?
We went to the Caribbean, so we were at Copa Cay, Jamaica, and Haiti.
Nice. So Haiti specifically, for me at least, a lot of what I know about Haiti is like disaster area, you know, just essentially like a bad place to be. Is that Does that reflect reality or is it just fake news?
Um, So I will say that where we went to wasn't specifically Haiti, right? It was I can't remember the name of the location, but it's very secluded from everything else. So it's a kind of false representation of Haiti. It's all tourist beach area. In fact, I think Royal Caribbean, the island, they actually own that spot or they're leasing it. So I wouldn't say I experienced Haiti. Like if somebody asked me like, "Oh, did you go to Jamaica and Haiti before?" I wouldn't feel comfortable saying yes because when you're on a cruise ship, it's a very very different kind of experience. Think of it like going to Turkey for a layover, right? So you're trying to go to Japan, then you end up in Turkey, then you spend
Yeah.
5 hours in Turkey, and you just kind of stay around the airport area. You're not really
Mm,
experiencing Turkey the way you should. So I don't feel comfortable saying like, oh, I was there, but I would say I was there via cruise, which is very very different.
okay. Okay. All right. So from what you saw, it was nice. It was pretty.
Yeah, it was good. It was very enjoyable. Jamaica was meh. I didn't really do much. I didn't really see much, but definitely Haiti was a very good experience. It was really really fun. So, would I recommend Haiti? Like I said, if you want to go via cruise, yeah, sure.
All right.
But if you want to go there to visit, don't ask me. I don't know anything about it.
All right. Well, did you have any time to play games?
No, not at all. I did bring my controls to test out the X Cloud because whenever I travel to a new country, I always want to test out X Cloud to see if it's good. But this time I didn't just because there was a lot of activities to do on the cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Nighttime you could go walking around, you could go look at the sea. You could go like eat pizza, talk to people. So there was just too much to do to consider it. But I really should have tested it out. But yeah, no games. Well, Marvel Snap, mobile games. Yeah, that's about it.
Hey, mobile games count. We
True.
like to we like
Very
to like rag on them or whatever, but mobile games is where the money's at. You know,
true. No, for sure.
that's that's where most of the industry is at. That's where most of the money's coming from. So yeah,
Hmm.
I used to be like one of the big defenders of like, yes, screw mobile games. Real gaming is on console and stuff like that. But time has proven me very wrong. Like I've gotten my ass beat so badly on that specific point that I don't try to fight it anymore. It is it
Hmm.
is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into
Oh,
the
what's
news.
YouTube?
Actually, before we get into the news, did you watch the Super Bowl? Do you even care about the NFL?
I don't care about the NFL at all. Um,
This guy. Why? Like, what's the problem? Have you tried to watch the NFL?
I don't really know the rules of the game, and I've never really tried. I don't support them per se.
Yeah.
I think at one point I just need someone to just sit me down and watch it because also it's very late, right? It's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. At that point,
Not really. No.
is
Not
it?
really. Not really. If you're willing, we can set up, especially when the preseason starts or when the next season starts. Not every game is at 2 a.m. There's some games that start at like 10 p.m. our time.
Hmm. Well, I mean, for the NFL, like the Super Bowl is specific because I know, for example,
Super Bowl at 1:30.
people would watch, the FIFA World Cup, right? Or they watch the Grand Slam, they watch the big tournaments. So I don't mind watching a big tournament. But
Bro, I don't know what's going on with your mic, but it's muffled again.
why is this happening? I don't
I
know.
don't know. Are we sure you have to restart, or there's like a setting or a toggle that's off there on your end? Because it doesn't make any.
I'm gonna
There you go.
switch my internet to something else to
That's
see.
better. That's better. Mike's back. Hey,
Okay.
Seawolf Gaming, welcome in. Welcome. Appreciate you. Make sure to smash that like button. So yeah, I was saying, Ty, I would be willing to give you the rundown on what the rules are in NFL because I understand how daunting it is.
Hmm.
But once you get a grasp of it, especially once you get the basics, dude, it is like heart pounding and it's amazing. It's like NFL is awesome,
Hmm.
right? NFL is awesome. Quada Global Limited welcome says Donald Trump is messing with your show. No, I don't think he cares. Not that much. Also, Quada, make sure to smash the like button. So yeah, Ty, can I make that commitment with you?
Yeah, sure. We can check it out sometime.
All right. So the next time I see a game that starts at a reasonable time for our region, I'll get in touch and make sure that we watch the game together, and then I'll give you the blow by blow of this is happening because of that, that's happening because of this, and I completely understand your confusion with how the NFL works,
Mm.
completely. And you know what? Even your proposed solution, that's how I learned. Because if someone just tries to explain to you American football as an isolated thing, it's complicated.
Hmm.
But if I explain it to you while the game's happening, it'll be easier, be much easier.
Sure.
Uh, what's this? Seawolf says Ham doesn't see a correlation with Xbox selling only 2 million consoles on a whole year and PS5 getting their games. I think there's definitely a correlation. Ty,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I think there's a correlation. Like, I think hardcore gamers, we can realize that there's more value. Like, you get more bang for your buck on Xbox if we're being honest, Ty.
Hmm.
You get more bang for your for the same $60. If you apply it to Game Pass, you get a lot more bang for your buck than if you put $60 into buying, I don't know, whatever exclusive game on on PlayStation.
Hmm.
But your, like Asmongold says, your average Walmart American doesn't know and doesn't do the research up to that point. So they just buy the PlayStation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. 100%. I think what's really, interesting is when people want to dispute or go against Xbox going third party, um, they don't focus on the facts as to what's happening, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Xbox's financials, they're not great. And even with Bethesda and ABK, they're not great. So what you really have to do is take away Bethesda and ABK and you realize how bad of a position that they're actually in. So when people make it seem like, well, why are they doing this? They shouldn't be doing this. It's like, well, look at the numbers. The number says that they should be doing this. Um, money doesn't care about your feelings, right? If Xbox wants to make money, they need to make the right plays. So yes, them only selling 2 million units makes perfect sense why they are going multi-platform. Because if those consoles were selling enough, they wouldn't need to go multi-platform at least this much. You see more maybe timed exclusive. You see Doom arrive on just PC and Xbox, and then maybe eventually come out on PlayStation at some point. But because it's so dire at this current moment, they have to go multi-platform. So
But why is it dire? Why is it dire?
it's dire for many factors. I would say this, as Phil said, losing last gen was the worst gen to lose. So I think that's a factor. I don't know. I won't say it's a huge factor, but it's one factor. The next factor that I think is important here is this is where I would say Phil and the guys messed up big time. There's an email that I can't pull up right now, but it's before the Xbox launched. Phil was extremely confident in Xbox Series X and S, saying that they have the better product, they have Game Pass, they have all these things, and he's feeling really good. And in it, he told the board that, like, I know you guys have said blah 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 that I'm too optimistic, but I really feel good. The reason why I think that's so telling is because the guys above Phil are business people. They look at the numbers. They care about the numbers. Phil
Yeah.
was focusing on feelings and emotions. He was saying, we have the best console, Xbox Series X. We have a cheaper console, Xbox Series S. We have Game Pass. We have xCloud. We have PC. We're going to do better. He's not focused on the nuance. And the business guys, they do that, right? They look at it and say, well, yeah, you have the better console, but does a better console always lead to sales? Okay, you have a cheaper console, but if you have no games for that cheaper console, well, then who cares? The Dreamcast had a great lineup. The N64 had a great lineup, right? But they didn't sell well. So I think the business guys are looking at him saying, we think you're over your head, but you know what? Here's the money. Do what you want to do. When the Xbox Series X launched, it had no games. It had no exclusive games to make you want to buy that console. And as the years went by, it still had no games, right? Um,
Yeah.
and and the first notable game that it had, well, we can say it was Forza, but that was cross-gen, I believe. But the first notable game that I had was Starfield, and unfortunately, Starfield didn't, hit the mark. So to release a console that had no exclusive top quality games, especially when your goal is to take market share from your rival, you don't need to match them. You have to surpass them. And the thing is, they underperformed when it came to PlayStation. PlayStation was still releasing better games and more games. So that's why this whole thing has happened. Um, if you really want to put it down to something, you can just blame Phil. Unfortunately, he didn't execute the plan properly, and because he failed to execute the plan properly, Xbox has moved direction towards third party.
Okay, but my problem here, right? And I'm going to play the Oshus role today. Um, Taye, is it not reasonable to believe that if Xbox, right, had done, which is the thing that we all predicted, which was to make all these acquisitions exclusive, is it not reasonable to say that by the end of this console generation, by the end of this generation, they would have made up significant ground? Because a lot of what gaming is FOMO, whether you say it's right or wrong, but a lot of what our industry is FOMO. There's a lot of people that bought PS4s at the end of the PS4 generation because of the FOMO that they felt from all the bangers that PS4 had. Do you not think that all these hits that the Xbox games have come out, right? If we Do you not think all these hits would accumulate to a certain point that by 2027, 2028, by the next gen, people would just be like, all right, man, let's just go buy an Xbox. Or by next gen, like either by the end or by the beginning of next gen, a whole lot of people would just be like, I need to get an Xbox because of how many like bangers Xbox has put out. Is that not a reasonable assertion? Because with all these acquisitions, maybe we were doing the math wrong, or maybe the time frame that Satya and Microsoft gave Phil was different, but we were looking at it as Xbox has all the money in the world. Literally, they have all the money in the world. So if they're buying all of these guys, they can definitely like weather the storm of not making crazy amounts of money in the short term, but create that great catalog that people would sit back and then be like, I need to get the next Xbox when it comes out. Did they not pull the trigger on giving up? Well, not giving up, but like going third party too soon. Because putting
Um,
games on PC, they were already doing that, and that's the biggest player base.
so the problem here is let me know if my mic starts acting up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
But the problem here is that Xbox, they don't have unlimited money, right? I know everyone says, it's Microsoft, but Microsoft, you don't bankroll a segment unlimited just because, hey, we have unlimited money. Like that's not how these businesses work. That's number one. Number two, Xbox or Microsoft wouldn't have mind doing this if the industry was growing, if the console base was growing, right? So here's what's really going to happen. You're going to be Microsoft and you're gonna be make all these games exclusive. Now you're gonna take a huge hit because every single one of these companies that you're buying, Bethesda and ABK, they're predicated on being third party. So as soon as you make them exclusive, what that value has gone down because now you're only selling to like one platform or two platforms with PC and Xbox, right? So you're cutting out a huge player base in PlayStation and potentially the Switch. So the value is not actually worth it at this point. But okay, you know what? You take the hit so you can grow you can grow the console base. Cool. You do that, but then Microsoft is thinking like what 20 years ahead, and they're saying to themselves, we can fight PlayStation for the consoles, but we know the consoles have been capped. Now, if we keep fighting them and they keep responding, because Sony's not going to just lay down and take this, right? So Sony's going to
yeah,
respond. Sony still has all their games. They have Last of Us, they have Spider Man, they have God of War. Like, so this is not a case of we're going to get a weakened opponent who's making mistakes. Sony isn't going to make mistakes like this. They're very well adverse in combat when it comes to console wars or whatever you want to call it. So
yeah,
at this point now, the best thing Xbox can do is claim some market share from PlayStation. And if they claim some market share from PlayStation, that puts them at what, maybe 60 million consoles, 70 million consoles, and that's it. But that's not going to be enough from a profit point of view. So they believe, they generally believe that in 20 years' time, this console stuff is even going to be a problem. Like it's not going to be a talking point. It's going to be all about PC and streaming, etc., etc., etc. So the question you have to ask yourself is, why are we fighting over a segment that has already been capped when we can start going for the other segments that haven't been capped? And I think that's where Microsoft has just decided, what, let's just back out. Like we are done here. And you have to think about it this way: Sony is the market leader of the console segment, and they're saying it's not enough. So if Xbox actually battles Sony for it and takes back some market share, it's still not enough for both of them, anyways, right? And because it's not enough, you're going to see them migrate. You're already seeing Sony migrate towards PC. You've seen Sony try to get into the mobile phone sector, and Xbox is just ahead of them. They're saying, you know what, Sony, you can have this space because we know you're going to come to this other space later. You're going to come to the PC space. You're going to come to the mobile space, and we're just going to be happy to dominate that space until you arrive.
okay. You you,
It's,
you
it's really
might be
just
on
about
to something.
yeah, it's really just about projections, really. That's what it is. And it seems like Microsoft has just looked at it from a very numbers point of view, and they've said, in order for us to actually compete with Sony and claim back this console market share, we need to do X, Y, Z. And if we do manage to get back some market share, well, it doesn't matter anyway because we're already going to go third party because it's not enough. I mean, why is Sony going third? Well, not going third party, but why they put in Horizon Lego on the Switch? Why they put in the games on PC? Why are they considering putting maybe some games on Xbox? Why are they saying, hey, the new Bungie game, Marathon, yeah, let's put it everywhere? Like, why are they saying this? It's because they know where the money is. The money is in multi-platform.
Yeah, I still think they miscalculated, and also it's out of their character. If you look at a lot of Microsoft investments, this is not like the default position that they usually take when they invest. They usually don't invest for immediate returns. So if they were going to shut down Xbox, and then they pivoted when Phil came in, excuse me, when Phil came in, and they were like, "All right, clean slate, let's give this another go." This is not usually what they would do if they're starting a new project. You look at how they've been patient with cloud, you look at how they've been patient with streaming, even the way they were patient with Office. It wasn't always as big as and successful as it is now. So again, like my favorite quote, right? Past performance informs future results. This was unpredictable, in my opinion, that they would restart something, and instead of looking at the long-term gain, started looking at the immediate gains. I'm not saying that there's no gains in the long term from just becoming third party, but I think there'd be a lot more gains from maintaining at least console exclusivity. I think there'd be a ton, a ton more profit from maintaining console exclusivity.
Well, I think the problem there is they have been doing some of these things right. Starfield for them was going to be their biggest game this generation. It was going to be that game that was going to bring in a lot of Game Pass players, a lot of console sales, and when that fails to meet expectation, when it fails to bring in millions of Game Pass players, when it fails to bring in millions of consoles, um, then you have to reevaluate because that is your biggest selling point. That is your biggest target, right? You brought out
And
Indiana,
again,
you brought out Indiana,
again,
Indiana Jones, same thing.
but again, this leads into my point of short-termism, because the smart play, the long play, is to do what Nintendo did, to do what PlayStation did, which is even when you had have a mid-ish or a bad generation, the idea is to continue to build your internal catalog and then continue and then continue from there. There's still people that bought Wii U games, even though the Wii U had tons of exclusives that didn't sell, that and the console apparently was not a big success. But because Nintendo have this ethos of just keep building on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, it kind of still works. And then when they bring out the Switch, whereas with this short termism of the Xbox, of all right, so you put out this game now and it better bang now, otherwise we're going to destroy the entire structure of what our vision is because you failed to produce now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes and no, because when we talk about now, remember we're talking about a a company, or sorry, an Xbox that's been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So the truth is, they should be already producing now. Like it should be now, 100%. And when the Xbox One didn't do the numbers, Xbox put in place a plan clearly with the Xbox Series X and S, with purchasing of these studios to get some kind of return. So they plan for the future since probably 2014, 2013. And the truth of it is that Game Pass didn't bring in as many players as they wanted. The exclusive games didn't sell as many games as they wanted, or even consoles. And at that point, they have to pivot. They have to ask themselves, what is the reality of the situation? It's like I was talking to Oshus about this a few days ago, and he said that if Xbox had made Bethesda um, exclusive, every single Bethesda game exclusive, then that would have been better, and Xbox would have been challenging. And my response is, yeah, but from a factual point of view, that doesn't align because if all Bethesda games were exclusive, Ghostwire Tokyo still would have been PlayStation timed. Deathloop still would have been PlayStation timed. Redfall still would have been an Xbox game, which it is. Starfield would have been an Xbox games, which it is. So then the question is, what has changed since then? Like, how is this timeline different from a timeline where all Bethesda games are exclusive? Unless we are saying that Doom is enough to shift the console space. And then if you look at the numbers, Doom has sold between the last Doom game sold between 5 and 7 million copies. And that was a multi-platform game with most of it still coming on PC. Doom isn't going to bring you many isn't going to bring you new console players in the same way Starfield was going to do it. And Starfield failed in that aspect, right? So then the next game you could talk about is Elder Scrolls. Okay, but Elder Scrolls is probably coming out next gen in 5 years' time, 6 years' time. So that means this gen is a wash. So how does Bethesda being exclusive for this gen make Xbox win? It doesn't. They still lose. In fact, I would argue they lose way more money by making everything exclusive, right? So this is just a numbers game that Microsoft is running. They're looking at Phil saying, "Okay, you know what? Give me your presentation, but don't tell us how you feel. Don't tell us what you want to happen. Give us your presentation and use numbers to back it up." And the truth is, they didn't, or they weren't able to back it up with numbers. Everything said, "This is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work." So now we need to do it this way. These guys have deliverables. Like what Satcher cares about is just deliverables. He's probably saying, "Listen, profit wise, give me whatever 1 billion this year. That's all I care about. I don't care how you get it. I don't care, if you have to close down this studio, close down this other studio, make this game live service. You need to just reach this specific goal. And once the management team goes back, Phil, Sarah, and Mabudi, they realize they're like, okay, we need to make something, third party. We need Doom to be available on PlayStation so we can have more profits to meet our goals. That's pretty much what's just happening.
I think it's a mistake. The Guinea, welcome in. Also, Reichi, welcome, welcome. The Guinea says an interesting point that I've also pointed out several times. Says Nintendo budget for games is tiny compared to what Sony and Xbox Studios spend to get the cost covered and revenue still going up. PlayStation is going to PC, Xbox is going nowhere.
Everywhere.
The, oh, sorry, Xbox is going everywhere. I think the issue is scope. Xbox wouldn't be so pressured to get their games everywhere if they didn't spend so much money on them.
So I think that the point there is Nintendo has created little segments for themselves where they can, make these smaller games, and that's not really going to affect them as much, right, from a revenue perspective. So the Gina is right there. The problem though that Nintendo's going to face is as the gens come up, which is the Switch 2, costs will increase for them too as well. There's a reason why they wanted Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to be $70 because for them that's probably the most expensive game that they made. And when you think about the next Zelda game, it's probably going to be the most expensive game as well. When you think about the next Smash Bros. Game, the most expensive. Next Mario game, most expensive. So their costs are increasing significantly as well. The next Mario Kart game, expensive as well. Now, Nintendo does a good job in making smaller games that sell really well too. But overall, the cost is increasing for them. And Miyamoto said it as well. He said that, yeah, listen, the costs are increasing, but we use innovation to tackle it, which they are good at doing. But innovation only delays the inevitable. So at some point, it could be 2 generations on, 3 generations on, Nintendo's going to be facing the same cost issues as Xbox and PlayStation. Because if you think about it this way, when you think about Smash Bros. Ultimate, think about the first Smash Bros. Game, Smash Bros. 64 on the N64, and think about Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's a huge difference in quality and cost between those two games. Sorry, between those games, and people are going to expect the next Smash Bros. Games. I remember the Switch 2 is not old tech. Like this is not 10 years tech. This the Switch 2 is the PS4 Pro equivalent apparently from what we've heard. So you're going to see a huge jump in quality in the Nintendo games, and that cost will be represented in price increases. And obviously, Nintendo would then end up having to deal with the same situation that Sony is dealing with and Xbox is dealing with. Now, Nintendo, just because they have they have the user base, and the Switch 2 is probably going to sell 80 million, 90 million, maybe 100 million units, they can afford to not go multi-platform or any of these things. But like I said, there will be a point in time when they're going to need to make up that money. That could be 10 years from now, 20 years, 25 years. We don't know. But as the cost goes up, this is what's likely going to happen.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you've browbeaten me for now. Guys, make sure to smash the like button. Vince says, why would one play bug tester games on console? PC modders carried their games in forever. I think that's a bit cruel. It's a bit mean, Vince. Welcome in C for skills. See, it says first PlayStation have to put something out besides remake and remasters of the same old crap. I kind of disagree with this one. I'm not being a pony or anything, but they keep putting out these remasters and remakes, and people keep buying them. Sure, they're not buying enough, which is why they're putting them on PC, but they're also putting those games on PC. Concord lasted longer than PSN security. Dare easy. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Wow, you guys are really going at it. Your games, my games. Oh my goodness. All right. Uh Ty, let's get into it. PSN is back. Sony apologizes with PS Plus gift to players. So the PS5 online service was down for nearly 24 hours. Ty, were you even aware that this happened? Be
Yeah, I
honest.
was. I heard about it, and I spoke to some friends about it, and because we,
Uh-huh.
we were going back and forth to see if this was a hack or if this was just a technology failure on their part. And I think what maybe surprised me the most was that Sony didn't come out and just state what it was. They took their time to kind of make the confirmation. Um, so the fact that it took so long made me think it was a hack, but it wasn't, which is good, I suppose. It just made me wonder why they took so long to confirm.
Okay. Okay. So let's see what people got. Sorry, not Nintendo. Network services have fully recovered from an operational issue, the company wrote in a statement. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank the community for their patience. All PlayStation Plus members will automatically receive an additional 5 days of service. Come on. Ty, do you think 5 days is enough?
Um, yeah, I think it's fine.
I don't think 5 days is enough, man. I think everyone needed to get like a month of PSN because this happened on a Friday.
Mm.
People like people are making memes about it. When people came back from work after a long shift, people are talking about, all right, let me go home, let me go turn on my Xbox. Probably blew off a whole bunch of other engagements and meetings or whatever, lunches, dinners, because they're gonna go to be on their PlayStation and it was more cost affordable, or they had the Monster Hunter Wilds beta or whatever that they were looking for, and nothing. Let's continue in the article. Reports of PSN going offline started appearing in early hours of Saturday morning, and Sony reported the issue had been resolved at nearly midnight. There's still no explanation for the PSN downtime, which left many players unable to access any online services, access their library of digital games, or pair new PS5 disc drives. I think this is crazy, Ty. I think it's insane. If you bought a game, right? If you bought a physical game, you can't play it on your console. because PSN's down. I think that's wild.
I think it has to do with linkage, right? If you linked it properly, then you should be able to play it, from what I remember. So I think the problem is a lot of people just didn't link it or put it as a primary account or something like that. Um, but it does highlight, as you're saying, that this world of online live service
Digital.
games is a huge problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a problem. Can't access your library of digital games, and it was a bit conflicting because you had a couple of people saying no, it's working fine for me, but that also was like a for me that whole discussion was also an issue because a lot of people that were saying it was working fine for them were like PlayStation stands. So I'm like,
Mhm.
do I really believe you?
Yeah, true. Um, Yeah, listen, it is a problem, and I think it's something that I feel maybe people should come together and find out, like, hey, why are we in this situation where this can happen and we don't have access to our games? I think the problem is, I think the gaming community is somewhat segmented into fanboys like PlayStation people and Xbox people. So they'll never come together. So when you say things like, the PlayStation fanboys are like, saying, hey, it's working for me. The truth is they will protect Sony to in any way, shape, or form that they can. And rather than like analyze this issue and say, yeah, this is a problem that I think is across the industry, they won't because it's happened to Sony, right? If it happened to Xbox, then they'll talk about it. But if it happened to Sony, they'll just kind of dismiss it.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that even, hey, Oshus is in the chat. Yo, everyone, wish Oshus a happy birthday. It was his birthday on Friday. Happy belated birthday, Oshus. Um, Ty, I kind of noticed it. No, not kind of. I literally noticed it on IGN, my favorite website. There was nothing. I didn't see anything. Did you see anything on
No.
IGN about the? I saw no article. Like it wasn't even like they put out a blurb or something. If we have this wrong, people, someone in the chat, if we
Mhm.
have this wrong, please send us the link in the chat right now because that was hella sus, right, Ty?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that was another talking point over the weekend. People are like, dude, if this had happened on Xbox, everyone would be writing about it, everyone would be talking about it, and it would be the end of the world. Which is weird because Xbox is the one with the least amount of players on it.
Exactly.
So the reaction should be opposite. When PSN goes down, everyone should lose their minds, and then when Xbox goes down, because believe you me, Xbox does go down.
Hmm.
I remember last year it happened maybe once or twice, but it did happen when Xbox was down. And I also remember there was a crazy react. Well, I wouldn't call it overreaction, but there was definitely a much bigger reaction to what's happening right now. Go ahead, Ty.
Even just jumping off this point, I believe the guys who make Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance mentioned recently that the Series S allowed them to optimize the game better, which benefits everybody. And I've come to the conclusion that in this generation, that these fanboys or losers or whatever, they're very much
Losers.
just about corporations. So the Xbox Series S is something that I believe should be championed because it's a console that is affordable to the casual market and to any gamer out there. And it
Hmm.
allows you to have a PlayStation 5, which costs 550, and an Xbox Series S costs 300 or whatever. You may get it at a cheaper price in whatever store. That's a really good deal for the gamers. That allows them to have access to multiple different platforms. And for some reason, we don't champion that. We talk about how it's holding the gen back. And we talk about how developers are upset because they have to make a game for it. No, screw them, because they're not that important here. This is a consumer decision. This console is a very consumer focused product, and that
Hmm.
should come first. Why we care about how developers feel because they have to do their job, you know, is completely ridiculous. And I'm just so baffled because even as you know, the developers have said, because of the optimization, like think about it this way. For years, we talked about developers releasing games that were broken or not optimized properly. Then you have developers coming out and saying, "Oh, because the Series S is a little bit weaker, we've had to optimize better." This is what we wanted in the first place. But nobody's talking about these benefits. They're just saying Xbox trash. Oh, it's holding back the gen, and it's just such a baffling take to me. That just made me realize that yes, no matter what Xbox does, they will always be the bad guys. They will always be the losers. Doesn't matter how consumer friendly they are. People on the other side will always hate them, and they'll always look to abuse or tarnish their name. That's just what it is. So so yeah, this gen has just kind of exposed how very console fanboy centric people are. They literally go against their own interest.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hard not to hate the biggest company on the planet, right?
True.
But the Guinness says I got a PC. My wife has the Series S. It's a great machine and a good way for her to play COD and keep my entire back catalog as I've gone away from console. That's that's an interesting take on the usefulness of the Series S. I saw something on Twitter. I just forgot to bookmark it. I saw something on Twitter. Oh my god. Really, Oshus? No. I saw something on Twitter where they essentially said some developer of a AAA game said they used the Series S to help them optimize the game better. So when they then scaled it to the Series X and the PS5, it ran buttery smooth. I'm forgetting which game it was. So in a in a way, or literally speaking, it's really just up to the devs. If the devs want to utilize the Series S, it'll be fine. But if they're quote unquote lazy, they'll just develop for the PS5 and the Series X and be done with it.
Pretty
So
much. I was
yeah,
just saying, why don't we have Wukong? Why don't we have Baldur's Gate 3? And I think that's, listen, it's fine that Oshus can, point to those games, but those are like two very specific games. And one thing I
def-
will say is that Oshus, if you think about it this way, everyone says Wukong didn't run well on PC or PlayStation, right? If the developers had to actually make the Series S version, and they did, it would run better on PlayStation and PC. So you would actually benefit from that release date. Remember, we always said this: stop releasing these broken games that are not optimized properly. All of a sudden, it's like, nah, release them. We don't care because it's Xbox, and we hate the Series S. So we're
yeah,
using the talking points instead of being pro consumer. Because just imagine a different universe where they said, shit, the Series S isn't really that great. Okay, let's not release this game now. Let's, release the Series S version and patch it up the best way we can. You would actually benefit Oshus. You would have a superior product. But because we're into the fanboy stuff, we don't. We just take we're willing to take the bad points of the less optimized version because it makes Xbox looks bad at the end of the day. Larian Studio said it themselves. They said because we're working on the Series S version, we were able to optimize the PS5 version and the PC version better. But screw that though. Let's have a broken game that has issues because it makes Xbox looks bad. This is why I don't get why are we not focusing on the consumer positive side of these things? Why are we focusing on console wars, right? And also, ushers, you might not know this, but think about it this way: you saying this is a very elitist point of view because there's a lot of people out there who can't afford the Xbox Series S. Right, sorry, who can't afford the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. So the Series S is their way of actually getting into the gaming space. But you're kind of saying, I don't care about these people getting into the gaming space as long as I'm happy. And that's a very elitist point of view. You're like the top 1% in Beverly Hills,
yeah.
at least you're speaking like them.
Okay, Fuzzy, welcome in. Fuzzy says, ever since I got a PC, I'm even more impressed with what the consoles can do for the price. Guys, make sure you smash the like button. Thank you so much for coming through in the comment section. Elemental Hero says, yeah, but Larian made comments on the problems on Xbox. Okay. So to Ushers' point, he actually shared something that I saw on Twitter that I'd like to discuss here briefly. This is from Gaz, friend of the channel, Septic Sauce. He's one of our mutuals on TSWS Gaming. He was having a chat with Jez Corden, also friend of the channel. Um, and I think it's an interesting listen. I think it's a very interesting listen. But before we get into the video, let's read what he said on his post. Gaz said, "Exclusivity can be pro-consumer. The market is shifting now, so hopefully we'll see what was once direct competition between platform holders spurning on great quality via exclusives now replaced with something that doesn't diminish the resolve in competition and quality." Um, okay, let's try and get the context behind that word salad. Let's go.
Think exclusives have always been. People think that exclusives are not pro-consumer at all because, well, you're just depriving people of it. And I think that's such a simplistic view on things because what you're depriving people of is potentially a substandard experience compared to what you would get if you had galvanized platform holders in the space competing on a one-to-one level to make sure that they had the best games, because Doom and Call of Duty and all these games were sick and exclusive to freaking Xbox. You think PlayStation's gonna sit there and go la 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 la? The freaking entire PS3 gen with Mag, with Killzone, with freaking that game that they're not making now, Resistance 4, all that multiplayer push during the PS3 gen was because they were falling, they were lackadaisical, they were anemic compared to the Xbox's freaking multiplayer prowess. And they tried. And as soon as Sony gets emboldened and dominates the market, it just relaxes. And now what you have here right now, this PS5 gen, which is roadmap, is just as barren as freaking Dreamcast guy's head now.
Oh my god. Guys, jeez. Ty, do you have any thoughts on Gaz's points there?
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I don't disagree fully, but I mainly disagree because. Okay, let's see. I think
Okay.
the problem here is it's almost like we're hinting that third party games suck or we don't get good third party games. Well, here's some good third party games. Elden Ring. Who are they competing with? Like, what platform do they have? You know,
Marvel
Marvel
Rivals,
Rivals. Call of Duty is a third party game. I'll give you an
Baldur's
example here.
Gate,
Street Fighter. The latest Street Fighter is regarded as one of the best Street Fighting games of recent, but that's not exclusive. So I
Tekken.
know
Tekken
Tekken,
8 is also very, very well
Mortal
regarded.
Kombat, Metaphor, but the new Persona games coming out. What is that?
Yakuza.
Yakuza, Doom. Like there's so many games from a third party perspective that we all love. Kingdom Deliverance 2 just dropped.
Yeah, yeah,
It-
yeah.
like so, it's almost
It's
like
not
we're
my cup of tea, but
Mhm.
objectively speaking, right? Objectively speaking, it's a banger.
Yeah. Here's another one. The latest Sonic game is regarded as one of the best Sonic games of recent. That's not exclusive to any platform. So this idea that just
Didn't they
because
announce that they sold 3 million copies?
something like that, right?
Okay.
So this idea that just because you're making a game for a platform is going to make exclusives better, it just isn't really true. Right now, if Xbox goes third party, or even if Sony goes third party, do we really believe Neil Druckmann is going to make a lower quality product? No.
No, no.
Obsidian is going to make a lower quality product because these guys are creators, they're artists. This is what they do. So I don't agree in any way, shape, or form with any of these. Even Call of Duty, the latest Call of Duty is regarded as a good one, right? Story mode was great. You said you enjoyed it.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent. Not just
multi-platform.
good.
That,
Not just
that
good.
that's the platform. But the best games, Cyberpunk, multi-platform. Hitler,
Man.
multi-platform. We can keep going on and on and on. I mean, like it's just so I don't agree with the statement. I think what it can do though is platform exclusive is that it can it can make you identify that like you're lacking something. So for example, if Nintendo has Mario and you want to and you're competing from an exclusive point of view, you could say, okay, fine, we want to make our version of Mario. So in that case, you could kind of move your resources to kind of make specific kind of games. But I think that doesn't matter anymore because now what you want to do is just make profits. You want to make money, and that's enough for you to make great games. So even in this case, Sony could still say, okay, fine. If Nintendo is multi-platform and Sony's multi-platform, Sony could still come to the conclusion that while Mario is the only main platform holder, we need to make something that's an alternative to give people options. So you could still get these games, and you don't need to be exclusive to the platform for that to happen. And if you make bad games or crappy games, they won't sell. If they don't sell,
They
you don't make
won't
money.
sell.
So end of story.
Whether it's first party like Concord and Redfall, or third party like, what was the last third party flop? Ooh, Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Hmm.
And yeah, Elemental Hero brings even more examples: Stellar Blade, Warhammer, Armored Core, Power World, Black Myth Wukong, and so many others. It For me, I just have to agree with the chat. Like, years ago, when the hardware was completely different, we could have this discussion of like exclusives are essentially like necessary, but now it's almost the same thing. I think I was watching a video of Oh No It's Alex the other day, and he's a big like PC guy or whatever, but he understands the components inside the consoles, and he was essentially saying like the two or three main components in the Xbox and the PlayStation console, same thing, the exact same thing. So what are we doing? You know, it's not
Exactly.
worth it's not worth making this world garden.
It's not. And truth be told, it's a very, very old school and a very, very I don't want to say corporation focused idea. I'll just say it's a very old school mindset of people refusing to change because they can talk about, again, you always hear them talk about exclusive games like, PS3 did this and all that kind of stuff, but you never hear them talk about recent times, Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, or Hogwarts Legacy, Street Fighter, Tekken. They'll never bring up these games because it defeats the argument, you know. Um, Doom being multi-platform doesn't make it better or worse. Those guys are making the game and they wanted to make the game that they made. Starfield being multi-platform doesn't make it better or worse. You will still get the exact same game over and over again. So where is the argument that exclusive games are better? They're not. Um, Sony made, like, put it this way, Halo.
Better games are better. That's all it is.
Exactly. I actually like that statement. Better games are better. End of story. Like, we don't need to debate. Like, if you want to ask people, like, what's the best shooting game or whatever, and you ask anybody between Halo exclusive or Resistance PlayStation exclusive or Call of Duty or Battlefield, they'll pick Battlefield and Call of Duty, of course.
That's always been the choice. As much
Exactly.
as we love Halo, as much as we love, but what's it? Resist. I don't think Resistance even had that much love. Like,
Killzone.
no offense. Yeah, not even Killzone, bruv. Like, there's a reason those games didn't get more and more attention. People didn't buy them. Beginner, thank you so much for coming through, man. Appreciate it. Make sure to smash the like button on your way out. See you tomorrow on the Dustborn stream. Oh my god. Anyway, I
The,
was
the
saying,
shame Luscious is not here actually for this topic.
why
Because I know he retweeted this, and I was just thinking like, oh, rolling my eyes, like, here we go again. Like,
with the whole console exclusivity thing.
yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this again.
the problem is me and you actually agree on this topic, so it
Yeah.
probably, it probably doesn't have that much legs.
Mm,
But I was saying Killzone, it didn't. It's it's one of those franchises people look back on and they're like, oh, it was so great, and it's like, okay, but who actually played it? You know what? Who was the main character in Killzone? Who was the main antagonist
mm.
in Killzone? what was the name of the leading faction in Killzone? Do you know what I mean? You ask those three simple questions, motherfuckers be stuttering on you. If it's live, it obviously can't be on Twitter because then they'll Google the crap out of it. But one on one, having a conversation like what we're doing right now, Ty,
Hmm.
people will need like 20 seconds and then they'll mute themselves while they go and check and answer those questions.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's a reason there's so many Halo games that came after. Oh my God, Fuzzy says John Killzone. Get the hell out of here. There's a reason why we got so many Halo games, and then we got like 10, 20 times more Call of Duty games and Battlefield games compared to all those other games. Because the fact is, most of these corporations, even back in the day, the thing that decided if you were going to have a sequel, a trilogy, or a pentalogy was how many people bought your last game.
Hmm.
That's all it was. Let's not look at the past with rose tinted eyes and be like, back in the day it was better because they made all types of creative stuff. No, back in the day it was also full of sequel upon sequel upon sequel. It's just that the scope was smaller for like was more reasonable for smaller games, so you got a lot more creative projects. Now, even the smaller games are way too expensive. Anyways, do you want to add anything else on that specific point, Ty, or can we move on?
No, but I'm interested to watch the actual video, like to see Jez's response. Because I know Gaz and Luscious have the same view on this, and I think a lot of people have the same views on this. But people who have the same views on this, like I always said, they don't talk about the recent games. They don't talk about like the past. Things have changed so much that
Yeah,
it just wouldn't make sense to bring up the past in this situation. And they bring up Nintendo as well a lot. They always talk about Nintendo. Well, Nintendo do exclusive games and they're doing really well. Nintendo's a different kind of company for sure,
mm-hmm.
and there's an argument there, but they're different enough for us to warrant and say, you know what, this is the way it is. Because like I said, even if Nintendo was to become multi-platform, I still expect the games to be amazing, because the creators of these games, they're not fanboys. They don't think, oh well, I need to make this game for PlayStation, whatever. So it needs to suck. They're gonna create great games. The Nintendo creators are exceptional at making great games, and
Yeah,
if they were to move to a different company, I expect them to make great games again. End of story. That's just what it is.
yeah. But it's not just the developers. Um, I was having a chat with a developer a couple of years ago, and it was brought to my attention something that we don't usually discuss. You can have a talented group of developers, but if the leadership for a specific project, which is how they designate games, if the leadership is stunted, then it doesn't matter how good the developers are. It's almost like a football team. You
Hmm.
can have all the great players you want. If the coach doesn't know how to organize them, you have nothing.
Agreed.
If the general manager doesn't know whose contracts to renew, who to let go, who to trade, you got nothing. You can have Cristiano and Messi in the same team, and you're still screwed. Why? Because the coach is playing Cristiano at left back and Messi is a central midfielder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the issue. Elemental Hero was talking specifically about my point about back in the day and romanticizing how games were said. To be fair, sequels were needed because of cliffhangers. Elemental Hero, there was a lot of games back in the day that had cliffhangers and nothing got resolved because no one bought the games. It wasn't an automatic thing that, oh, if you have a cliffhanger, you're going to have a sequel. That's not what happens. That's not what happens. Dayrees, he says exclusive doesn't equate to a good game. People like God of War 2018, but thought Ragnarok was ass. Yeah, yeah, Ragnarok was it was special. That's what I'll say. It was special, especially that last third. That last third could have been a whole game, and not a very good one. It overstayed its welcome, in my opinion. Not to say the game was bad, but it overstayed its welcome. All right, but so moving on. Tai Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 features graphic depiction of, you can see it on the screen. Uh,
This is so funny. I hate these losers so much. Like I hate every single one of
please,
them.
please go into it. Please go into it.
This is not a talking point. It's only a talking point because they found gay characters in the game or black people in the game, and now they've decided that because it doesn't represent how they feel, that they're going to attack this game for whatever reason. I believe Game of Thrones, the book itself that has all the sexual stuff, sexual content, is a all these characters were around 14 and 15 having sex, doing crazy things. No one complained. There was incest, there was all this crap, but no one cried. When you play the JRPG games, like a Persona, and a teenager is allowed to hook up with a teacher, date a teacher, that's not a problem. No one cries, no one complains. Because the truth is, they don't care. They don't care about any of these topics. As soon as we've identified something that we don't like about your product, we're going to attack it on multiple different fronts on things we don't care about. And this is what has, for me, just shows you that these people are never genuine. Because remember, whenever we say DEI or woke or whatever it is, I've always
Hmm.
said the surface level take is DEI. Anyone can say DEI, yeah. But the truth is, the person saying DEI beside you is saying it for a different reason. So we need to ask that person, well, why are you saying this? Or why do you care? And then when they tell you why, you realize very, very quickly that they're saying it for very nefarious reasons. I remember when All Lives Matter happened, and one of my friends, he was saying, "Oh, all lives matter, all lives matter." And I pointed out that like they're saying it for different reasons, though. They're not saying it for what you think they're saying it for. And you gotta ask yourself that like, why is it that the people who don't look or act like you um are saying it, and the people who look and act like you are not saying it? Like that doesn't mean you should accept. What it does mean is you should question them a little bit more and say, well, we'll come from different places. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you mean by when you say all lives matter? And you realize that like it is actually a nefarious reason behind it. I was speaking to some friends about this, who are a huge fan of Kingdom Deliverance too, and they used to be part of the whole anti woke movement, but this game has kind of made them realize that what, there's something deeper here than just forced diversity. That these
Did it wake
people
them up?
is waking them up.
Is that what you want to say? It woke them up?
It woke them up.
Are they woke now?
No pun intended.
So for me, right? And one of my favorite YouTubers, 21 Kiloton, covered this topic. Um, and what he said essentially was, look, I might be paraphrasing wrong or whatever, but what he essentially said was the first game had this guy as a straight Christian man, right? And this whole thing is set in the Christian, like the heavily Christian period of Bohemia, right? Um, and for me, it's like, yeah, sure, that's what he was set as, but but right, with a double T, what Christians, especially Catholic Christians, and their priests known for?
No, you went down that end.
I'm
Okay.
just saying, listen. If the guys that made this game want to make it a authentic representation of the people and the religion of the time, right? What are they known for? Ty?
I'm even gonna
When
say
people
it, but I get you.
when people tell you leave your firstborn son for choir singing or choir practice, and he's like 7 years old, 9 years old, are you leaving your firstborn son with the priest?
No, you're not.
So I'm just saying that, listen, I'm just saying I'm not trying to point any. Listen, I am pointing. I am pointing. I am like connecting dots on a wall here. Right now, it's like a super hidden thing that still comes out. Back in the day, it was a well documented practice
Mm-hmm.
between priests and young squires, princes, whatever. So, in my opinion, this is a nothing burger because it seems to be something that was done a lot during that time. So it feels like the people that are getting pissed off are like they're nitpicking. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not being genuine about their criticism. Because if you were serious about this, you would look at every single angle, like I just did. Like I didn't even look at every single angle. I just looked at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked at one tiny angle. As soon as they brought up the whole gay thing, I was like, all right, hold on, hold on, hold on. What do these? What are these people known for? Ah, okay. So what about back then, when priests and Christian monks were like super respected, and you couldn't like challenge them on almost anything? Their word was like, that was it, bro. That was it. You had to just be like, okay, amen. People would die just because they got just because someone pointed, because a priest or a monk pointed a finger at them. People would get burnt right there, done. No questions, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to sit here and pretend like, no, that never used to go down.
Do you know what?
Fuzzy
Yeah.
says, hold on. Fuzzy says there's a pretty massive difference between consensual and a priest. And that's the thing, Fuzzy. That's the thing. The priest can open the door, but after the door is open, people can now enter and exit as they please. No, I hope you're catching my meaning because I'm not trying to get into like the grotesque here. Go ahead, go ahead. Ty. You're saying something,
Um, what I was gonna
but
say
does it
is
make
that
sense? Does it make sense what I'm saying here to Fuzzy that like, dude, once the barn doors are open, anyone can go in and get out.
well, I would even say this. I think this point here is even more telling that how come they didn't complain when the first game came out, right? In the first game, you can go have sex with women. You could kill people, innocent people. You can steal. You could do all these sins, and they didn't care. It was a
That's
great game. They loved
that's
it,
not very
right?
Christian. That's not
Yeah,
very
it's not
Christian.
very Christian at all. But as soon as there's a optional gay scene, well, now it's a demon game. Now everything's a
It's a
sin.
problem.
So it shows you that once again, it shows you that they're picking and choosing. This is what I always say is that these people they want to eradicate either people who look brown or black, or people who are gay, trans or whatever, or women from the games. And this is why I'm like, I don't even want to give them any kind of grace, because what they're really saying is that I want games to be just white heterosexual men. I want games to go back to the time where it just looks like me and only me, nothing else. And that's why I'm always pushing back. That's why with the whole Yasuke thing, I was even like, that's when I got really angry, because about Yasuke, they're showing you clips of him going around destroying, shrines. Whereas Assassin's Creed games, you could always do this. But then the question you have to ask yourself is, why aren't they showing you videos of the girl who's Japanese
Who
destroying
can do the
shrines?
same thing?
Why are they just picking the black guy? Because they're trying to make you upset, because their real goal is, we don't want a black guy in this game. We don't care about the shrine. We don't care about none of these things. We care about that there's a black guy in the game. So we're going to frame the conversation in a way to make you angry that there's a black guy in this game. So it's like there's a very good video about it where it's like how to make people who are like casuals and modern people extreme. You take your views and you frame it in a way that they might understand it, and then you enrage them about it, and then before you know it, they start becoming more like you. There's no clips of this girl doing anything crazy. It's always Yasuke. Let's show Yasuke doing this. Let's show him doing that. Let's show him doing all these things that have always been present in an Assassin's Creed games and in other games. So this is something like it's very nefarious. I hate these people. They disgust me
I
with a
feel you're
passion.
more passionate. I feel you're more passionate about the Yasuke thing than I am.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's just blatant crap. Like they showed I was talking to a guy before who, like, he's kind of anti DI, whatever it is, and he kind of was tweeting about he was following these guys who were doing the tweets about Yasuke, and I pointed to him that, like, you're trying to say you agree with these people and you guys have the same stance. But did you not notice that, like, this guy posted a video, like, just underneath the tweet, he posted a picture of what was it, of a monkey. So you're both saying the same thing. You're both saying we don't like forced diversity, but why is he posting a picture of a monkey? But you retweeted his earlier post. So the difference is he's coming from a racist point of view, and you're coming from a different point of view. But because you're retweeting his post and commenting on his stuff and you're following him, you lumped into this whole category of racism, and you're giving him the cover to be racist. And this is the problem I have with these people who go for these very surface level takes, like, oh no, it's okay, it's okay. I mean, I don't like DEI either. Like, well, what do you mean like DEI? What does that actually mean in this context? Because they're saying something very, very fucking different from you, you know. But yeah, that's Yasuke, Kingdom Deliverance 2. It's always gonna happen, you know. If you're a developer making a game that has a black person, brown person, a gay person, a female lead, whatever it is, you're gonna have to deal with this crap. And again, these people are just projecting, telling you that the only way we will leave you alone, where we will give you grace, is if the game either has sexy characters, female sexy characters that are very, cleavage heavy, or there's a heterosexual white male character, and then we won't harass you. That's problematic for the video game industry.
Yeah, every time I touch on Yasuke, you get really hot about that. So you know what? Let's have ourselves a giggle. All right?
Sure.
Let's get away from the serious stuff for 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. Hold on, let me press play here. So this is a dad who plays GoldenEye after a very long time. Watch his reaction.
Whoa, player. Whoa, player. This is your ass, player. This is your ass, player. You don't know nothing about this, player. Oh, shit! Shit! Whoa! It's been a long time. Oh, watch it. Here you go, watch it. Clap! Damn right, player! Come on, we'll watch your ass! Woo! GoldenEye. Woo! Yeah! No, pick that up, player. Oh, player, pick this up, player. I'm gonna bust that ass, boy! I'm gonna bust that ass, player! You're wet, player! Pick up the remote control! Yeah! Woo!
Ty, do you have any game that you personally, as a grown ass man, right, given the opportunity, your nephews having just playing or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh, Unc, do you want to come play?" And then it comes on. Do you have any game that you would react in this sort of way, like
There's no game.
with this confidence of like, yeah, I'm about to whoop everyone's ass.
Um, with the reaction that he has, no. But
Maybe
in
not
terms
that
of,
reaction, but
yeah,
that confidence of, yeah, guys, we were passing the controllers around, but now the controller is stuck on me.
Super Smash Brothers Melee is a game that I'm just very confident in. That yeah, like I was in university and it was like a gaming society, and
Yeah.
I went to go join it, and I saw Smash Bros there, and I remember just thinking, I'm going to whitewash every single body here, which is what I did. I destroyed every single one of them, and they all just left and went to go play Mario Kart or something. So for me, Smash Bros is that game where I'm really confident I can take anyone on. I won't be acting like him, but I'll be smiling. I'll just have a grin on my face, like, okay, you're all going to get slaughtered. So yeah, that's
Damn.
my reaction. How about you?
You you know which one it is, man.
Snake.
It's no no the Kojima game is single player.
Mm.
The one for me is Tekken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know you were
I
good at Tekken.
I'm all right. I'm all right. But
Hmm.
essentially, like, if there's like family parties and stuff, I'm not welcome to play Tekken.
Ah,
I've there's been like a very fun vibe, when the family's playing Tekken, and then I've killed the vibe on like maybe two or three occasions where it's like it's not fun anymore. So now when Tekken comes up, people are just like, nah. Look, you sit in the corner and watch us play and comment and give people hints or whatever, but you're not gonna play. So yeah,
yeah.
for me it's Tekken.
Okay, okay. I would have said Street Fighter to an extent, but I think Street Fighter is one of those games where even though I have beaten a lot of people at it, I think I've beaten people who are relatively weak. So I wouldn't put
Yeah.
confidence in Street Fighter. Smash Bros. Though, I think yeah, I think I'm like in the top 10. I don't know, top 10, like top 10% of people who play
Okay.
the game.
Okay. Okay. Fuzzy says it's mind blowing that I can't play any other 007 games on Xbox or PlayStation. That is kind of crazy. I mean, it's James Bond. We should have more. We should have access to more James Bond games. Darius says this in Perfect Dark. Welcome in, Sour Blows, calling me Lord Dustborn. Okay, sure, bud. Sure. Dorian Gray, it's Valorant and Counter Strike. All right. All right. Ooh, Ty, you and Fuzzy need to set up a Smash Bro session.
Yeah, I just messaged him there. Smash Bros. Melee, I think, it's been years since I played that game, so I need to kind of get into the groove of it. But Fuzzy, if you're interested in playing Smash Bros. Ultimate, the latest one, I'll gladly take you down. Like, trust
And
me.
you see this comment says I'll beat both of you 2v1.
Nah,
Like,
he won't.
bro, like, I'm not great at Smash Bro, but I think I'm decent. I don't think you could beat me and Ty, who's like very good at it. I don't know, man.
Nah, he's
I
not. He's not coming close to me at all.
two
Oh,
v one.
he doesn't have a Switch, unfortunately. That's a shame.
Oh, calm down, Fuzzy. Not 2v1. Don't make me buy a Switch. Don't do that.
Pretty much
Like,
everybody who's challenged me in Smash Bros. Ultimate has like gotten their ass like kicked. Like it's not even like a close game. It's just like I just
ooh,
destroyed them.
damn. So you still haven't found someone that's on your level?
And Smash Bros. Ultimate, no. I found some good people. Like for example, one of my friends, he lives in the US and he entered a tournament, and
Yeah.
he was in the other tournaments were like the top guys in this region were playing, and he came like he was in the top 20.
Okay.
So like these are like professional players, and he's in the top 20 with them, and I beat him like pretty well, like confidently. So yeah, I'm not the best in the world by any long shots, but like I'm definitely good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's get back to serious and depressing stuff. As you can see, it's the man on the screen, the man himself, Mr.
Reforge.
Reforge Gaming. Let's see what he has to say this week.
I told you last year when all this started, I said the next thing they're going to do is they're going to demonize exclusives. Phil Spencer's going to blow the dog whistle and he's going to get
Phil Spencer is going to blow the dog whistle and he'll get his little podcasters. Ty,
Mm-hmm.
so as soon as we finish this episode, we need to send you your Microsoft money,
My check.
your check. It will clear. I promise it'll clear. Fuzzy says, I know a few people who would go and win tournaments when we used to play every single day. God damn. Fuzzy is not backing down, Ty. Not even a little bit.
Well, get your Switch, bro, and let's go.
All right. There you go, Fuzzy. There you
Get
go.
all his little podcasters and YouTubers to fall in line.
Fall in line, motherfuckers. All of you.
The question you should be asking is not, what's PlayStation going to do? The question you should be asking is, why does every single pro Xbox YouTuber, outlet, media press source, journalist, whatever you want to call them, why do they all just get in line with what Xbox and Microsoft is doing and spin it as a positive?
I don't think that's true. Ty, do you agree with Reforge's point here that everyone turns it into a positive for Microsoft? I think Microsoft gets bashed very hard.
They
And
do. No, they do. And he's not being real because even we just saw that Gaz is an Xbox guy and he's criticizing them. What he's really talking about is people like maybe Paris or the other guy, or are kind of funny to an extent. Even they're not fully on board, but some of them are, right? I think Snow Black Mike or whatever. I think he's not fully there, but like he's specifically focusing on like one or two people who are very much in favor of it. Randall Thor. He's one of the biggest Xbox podcasters out there, and he said he doesn't like this. He says like, yeah, I think it's a wrong decision. So this is just an extreme take. It's a lie. Not everyone is on board with this, but I think for someone like me, who is who was in favor who's in favor of exclusive games, the reason why I have changed that view is because number one, I've realized that third party games can be great games as well. So that's number one. Number
Mhm.
two, I'm looking at it from an Xbox point of view. I don't think Nintendo needs to be multi-platform. Of course not. But for Xbox that is in third place and losing, yeah, they have to go third party. Like it just makes sense. In the same way the Dreamcast, I'm not saying the equivalent, but Dreamcast went third party as well because they weren't bringing in the console sales and they weren't selling well. So yeah, I don't I've changed my stance on it based on new information. That's what should be happening. You shouldn't be beholden to a particular viewpoint that was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, especially when the market has changed.
Dave Easy, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Ty, Dave Easy asks, Microsoft and Phil are paying y'all to spin this.
Well, what are we spinning exactly? That exclusives are bad.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess the question I would ask you is,
Who are they
why
bad for?
why are exclusives good? Like, I mean, you can answer that. I'll look up for your comment. But like, yeah, like why are exclusives good in the first place?
Yeah, I think exclusives are only good for the corporation. I don't see any benefit to the consumer. And even going back to Gaz's point of like great games, we are getting great games that are multi-platform. And the mid games just don't get bought. And everyone makes mid games, whether it's first party or third party. It's always happened, even during the so-called quote unquote golden era of the PS2 and the PS3. Mid as terrible Concord level type games came out during that time, and people didn't buy them, and the studio shuttered, and we kept it pushing. The only difference now is that we make a whole big brouhaha. There's articles written. We all have platforms and voices to point and laugh. Ha ha. That's the only real difference. But mid games have always existed, first and third party. They will always exist. And whether a game is exclusive or not doesn't like make it better if it's exclusive. That's not how game development works.
Yeah, like I think, for example, there's times when exclusives are important. So Dorian says exclusives are anti-consumer. At the very least, there should never be third-party exclusives. And I think we're probably on the same page there. A game like, for example, let's look at like Alan Wake 2, right? Um, that
Alan
can
Walk,
be
Alan
Alan
Walk.
Woke, Alan Woke
No,
2,
no, not woke.
Walk.
Walk. Yeah.
Alan Walk 2. That can some games can be exclusive because I'm pretty sure Remedy went to Sony and said, "Hey, do you want to work a deal with us with this game?" Sony probably said no. They probably went to EA. EA said no. They probably went to Bandai Namco. They said no. So when you don't have the finances to bring out your game or enough finances to create the game you want to fully create, I can see why that exclusive deal can matter and why it can help. But a game like Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Remake, those games, like Square Enix has money to finance those games. Those games do not need to be exclusives at all. So yeah, that'll be my argument.
All right, let's try and finish this.
Or posture as if it's fine and good, or claim that's where the industry's going. Where's the integrity? Where is it? They all just got in line. It's just astroturfing. It's all it is. You now have press outlets and people like, oh, I'm going to do all this investigation. I'm going to base things off truth. And you got your YouTubers and your podcast.
I don't know, Ty. I just feel like when everyone is saying the same thing, there's some credence to it. Because he's saying everyone's just got in line to say the same thing. It's kind of like when a couple of haters on PlayStation. Remember when Elden Ring surpassed The Last of Us for like Game of the Year nominations and wins? Do you remember that?
Hmm.
It became the most nominated and awarded game of all time. I remember a whole lot of PlayStation people coping and seething with arguments similar to this. And I was like, wait, so when The Last of Us was doing it, everything was fine, everyone was above board, there was no agenda, there was nothing. But now that a third party game is doing it, now you have a problem. And again, going back to that example of Elden Ring, everyone agrees, or at least the vast majority of gamers agree, that that is one of the greatest games of all time.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I just feel like when most people are saying the same thing, obviously there's been times, right? Galileo was one of the few people that said the Earth was round, and most people were saying it was flat. But most of the time, right, that was one of the exceptions in history. But most of the time, when most of the people feel a certain way about a certain thing or idea or philosophy, it it's it's mostly true. So I'm struggling to like consolidate this mentality of his of no, because everyone is saying it's true, it's astroturfing, it's fake. That makes no sense to me. Dorian Gray says, I despise this guy, and it sickens me how people are obsessed with signal boosting this free. Dorian Gray, I have a question for you. Are you saying you'd like to never see this individual on TSWS? That is a pointed question I'm putting to you, sir. I liked him better when he was just creepy Destiny. Oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. Just answer my question, Dorian Gray.
Casters, you got all of them just getting in line. It's like they've been given talking points. You should be asking that question.
Here's a quick one about the whole talking points, Ty. Do you remember the first time you played Gears of War?
Yes.
what were the first three things that you would put into a video if you were a YouTuber when you first played Gears of War?
Oof. Probably the violence, the gore, um, some parts of the story, some cinematic parts. At least that's what I would have done. I mean, I would have probably made a video in the same way I make my videos today. But I don't quite get the question.
The question, right? He's talking about talking points, and everyone's talking about the same thing.
Mm,
I'm using Gears of War as a good example. Most people, right, that are right now have platforms. If Gears of War would come out now, it would be the violence, it would be the gore, and it would be the
mm,
chainsaw gun. That's what it would be.
true.
Those sound like talking points, but they're also, hello, highlights.
Hmm.
When you played God of War, what did you think of? The violence, the gore, and decapitating gods, and the fury of Kratos. But that's what most people would say about the God of War, the series, especially at the beginning. With those talking points, it seems not redundant, but it seems like you're just he's grasping at straws. That's what it seems like.
I think one part that I really find irritating is they're very selective in how they frame this discussion. For example, Phil also said this very, very clearly. He said it doesn't work for us. Now, the grander topic is he believes or Xbox believes that this is where the future is going. And there's evidence of that when we see PlayStation put their games on the Nintendo Switch or we see them put their games on PC. But people like to say, well, no, it's because you're failing. That's why you're doing this. And Phil did acknowledge this. He said, yeah, it doesn't work for us and our business. That is all you need to know. So people who are getting angry and upset, saying like, "Oh, it's a talking point," like, no, Xbox has already stated the answer. Yeah, doesn't work for us, so let's move on from it. But they don't want that. Yeah? They want to fight about something. They want to signal boost and complain and cry. So then we have all these kind of videos where people are just getting angry. I think people like maybe Paris, the Xbox guys, they're not looking at it from a point of console war fighting. They're looking at it from a very Laura, you still there? Okay. Your thing says offline. So I don't know if it says on the left hand. Can you guys hear Loke speak? Loke is speaking right now. Can you guys hear him? Just say yes or no in the chat. Um Dale said no. Okay. So you guys can hear me speak. Well, I'll take over the show. No no worries. Okay, he says he'll be right back. So what I was saying is that Phil Spencer, he's already stated this. He's already stated that this doesn't work for us. But for some reason, these guys are just obsessed with clickbaiting and finding the quotes that they like and not the full context, which is basically it doesn't work for Xbox. It doesn't work for them because they haven't sold enough consoles, they haven't made enough Game Pass sales, and when they release games like a Starfield or a game like a Doom, they don't expect to sell many copies. So therefore, they need to make up that profit margins from somewhere else, and that is
Hi,
PlayStation
can
and
y'all
Nintendo
hear me
Switch.
now? Can they hear me now? C4 Skills, Void Lock, the Elemental Hero, Dave Reezy. Can y'all hear me now? Please confirm. What's that? I think I'm gonna get everyone a smoothie. No, I did. I am not getting anyone a smoothie. Can you guys hear me? Ty, can you ask them if they can hear me?
Yeah, they can hear you.
All right. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your point. Finish your point.
Oh no, well, that was it. That the Xbox is doing this because they have to. They're in a position where they have to do this. But the grander question is this happening on a grander scale? And the answer is yes, it is happening on a grander
Yes.
scale. because if it wasn't, you wouldn't see Spider-Man 2 arrive on PC 1 year after PlayStation. Like that's just not a reality that nobody thought would exist 5 years ago. Nobody thought you would see Lego Horizon on the Nintendo Switch. Um, listen, crazy
Day,
enough,
day and date.
you guys don't know this, but do not be surprised if in a couple of years' time or so you see Astrobots on the Nintendo Switch too.
Oof. Yeah. And the whole conversation of exclusivity for me is so funny because it's like it's not exclusive, it's console exclusive. And then it's not really console exclusive because now you're putting games on Nintendo. It's Xbox exclusive. That's I guess that's the next level. Like you can't play this game on Xbox. That's the next level of it because Nintendo's gonna get a apparently, according to the rumors, Nintendo's going to get the PlayStation exclusives and the Xbox exclusives.
Mhm.
Can you even call them exclusives? Just Nintendo apparently is going to get the PlayStation first party and the Xbox first party. Darius says the Dustborn creators want Loke to end the show and finish their game. They hacked the stream. And no, Elemental Hero, I I promised no one drinks. I promise no one drinks. Tomorrow, I'll get you guys drinks tomorrow. All right. Let's move on. Our next piece of news is pretty significant, in my opinion. Steam clamps down on in-game advertising with new rules that benefit players. Did you know that there were games that were running ads inside the games? Ty, were you aware of this?
No, I wasn't aware.
All right, so let's get into the article because I was also shocked. I was like, what? First, Steam forces publishers to tell people that you're not actually buying the game. You're buying a timed license that you don't like own. And now they're removing a problem we didn't even know was a problem. Interesting. Valve is banning products that rely on in game advertising from Steam as it sets out some new rules for developers on the storefront. According to the Half Life and Counter Strike maker, games cannot force you to watch ads to play them. And any existing games that use this model will have to switch to a new monetization system or be removed from Steam. Valve will still allow for some forms of advertising. However, as long as that advertising does not directly impede on the experience of the player. Big dubs for Valve. Valve's new policy is outlined in the Advertising on Steam section of the Steamworks documentation. Here, the company explains that what is permissible on its storefront, with particular emphasis placed on the prohibition of forced adverts, whereby players are required to view an advertisement before they can continue playing a game. This business model is popular with mobile and free Steam games, but if you've ever downloaded a game on your phone and immediately grown frustrated with the commercials you're forced to watch, Valve is explicitly forbidding this from Steam. Here's the quote: developers should not utilize paid advertising as a business model in their games, such as requiring players to watch or otherwise engage with advertising in order to play, or gating gameplay behind advertising. If your game's business model relies on advertising on other platforms, you will need to remove those elements before shipping on Steam. Developers should not use advertising as a way to provide value to players, such as giving players a reward for watching or engaging with advertising in their game. As an alternative, Valve suggests developers make their game into a single purchase paid app or incorporate microtransactions and DLC while making it free to play. Good guy, Valve. Ty, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's pretty good. I'm in favor of all of this, kinda, to be honest. I don't really mind what developers want to do if they want to make some kind of income, or if they want to subsidize a way they make money with another method. So I'm not crazy about it. I do like the fact that they said that, hey, listen, there will be like types of advertisements that'll be allowed, but just not like games, not ones that impede the actual game. So you're about to kill some boss in Elder Ring, and then boom, some ad pops up, and about buying stocks or whatever. Like that's completely ridiculous, 100%. Um, I am a lot more open to these things when a game is free. For me, basically, if you play any free to play game, Steam, mobile phone, whatever it is, anything goes because it's a free game. Like you have no right to be crying or complaining. But if you're buying a game, it's a little bit different. I feel that they need to be a little bit more um they need to be a little bit more conscious of the fact that, like, people are spending money already for an experience. So that needs to be taken into account. But overall, listen, I think this is okay. It's good. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a great thing. Um, but yeah, that's a really. I don't think this was an issue really. I can't think of many games that people complain about on Steam that had
Yeah.
this problem. So it's probably just them just reviewing their policies and just to make sure that companies don't release too many of these kind of games. So they're just nipping the bud right now.
I still think good guy Valve, and it has been a popular like meme. I don't know if that even qualifies as a meme, but it's been a popular sentiment to say that Valve sucks. They can't count to three and all this other stuff. But I think if you look at their recent moves, this one included, as well as the whole you don't really own your game situation. I don't know. I'm starting to get the warm and fuzzies from Valve. Obviously, not a great move, right? Companies don't actually have beating hearts. They're not real people. But I'm starting to like Valve.
Yeah, from everybody I've spoken to, they're very consumer focused, and they make things easy for the consumers, and they have a great product. So, listen, when Xbox says, "Hey, listen, here's a 10-year deal for Call of Duty," and their response is like, "We don't need that. Like, you need us." Um, so I think that's very telling that they know they're the PC market front, and they know that it's going to be hard for anyone to take them down, simply because apart from the libraries that they have a superior product, and they're probably going to have a superior product for a very very long time.
So you can't see anyone challenging Steam anytime soon.
No, I can't. But at the same time, I think console players like me are more easygoing. Like we're more willing to download different storefronts. So the more we move towards PC, the more we're likely to join different storefronts. So, for example, I bought Assassin's Creed. I pre-ordered it via Ubisoft storefront. I didn't go to a Steam, and I went to a Ubisoft storefront because that was where I was playing one of their other games, Ghost Recon. So I
Yeah.
have no issues with playing games on different storefronts. It's just a very weird PC consumer centric view to have. Now I do get it if people are like, oh, but I want to, play, with my friends and stuff like that. But from what I remember, you can actually open up storefronts via Steam as well. So you can still, use a storefront like EA or whatever, and still have Steam running in the background. So I don't think it's a big deal. But yeah, listen, from everything I've heard, everyone keeps saying the same thing. Valve is good. And one thing I have heard a lot is that when you compare the storefront of someone else like Microsoft or EA, and
Yeah.
then you do it side by side with Steam, you realize that you know
Yeah.
Steam is the best.
It's a big difference. Like night and day, honestly.
Hmm.
It might even be insulting to compare the Steam store to like the Xbox store, the Nintendo store, the PlayStation store. It's crazy.
Hmm.
It's it feels so like refined and intuitive, and even when they do like their promotions, they take the time to change almost the entire aesthetic of the website for the new like promotion. Right now it's the Steam Couch Co-op Fest, and they've changed like the whole freaking banner, and it just it's a great store. I'm not trying to glaze Gabe Newell here.
Hmm.
Anyways, we've come to the end of the show. Uh, Ty, is there anything else you'd like to discuss here before we bounce?
Um, there might be some news actually. Just I haven't been caught up. I just arrived back from the Caribbean yesterday, so I'm not too aware of everything that's been happening. But I guess in relation to the the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and the Assassin's Creed discussions, I would
Yeah.
just say be very careful of parroting or jumping on people who have different intentions from you. Because by you amplifying those people's points of views and talking points, you're pushing a negative view that is adding towards this idea that any kind of diversity or any kind of topic that deviates from the heterosexual white male is problematic. And it's never been problematic because we had Mass Effect, right? So you just need to think about what you're saying and what you're typing. If you're somebody who thinks, having a gay character in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is bad, ask yourself why you didn't feel the same way about Mass Effect, right? Ask yourself why is it that like back then you were cool with all these things. Ask yourself why you were cool with murdering
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3. You're cool with murdering people, stealing from people in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, but for number 2, you're all of a sudden offended. Because the truth is, you're probably not offended, but somebody's telling you that you should be offended and you're falling for the trap. So think about it that way. Even Assassin's Creed, if you're somebody who never cared about the historical accuracies of Assassin's Creed games, you didn't care about the mistakes that Valhalla made, that Origins made. You didn't care about fist fighting the Pope. You didn't care about any of these topics, but
Fist fighting the Pope.
all of a sudden, you're
I forgot
upset
that
now. Yeah, it happened. You didn't care about
one.
the fact that like all these legendary figures had the Eden Prime Golden whatever you want to call it that allowed them to have powers or whatever. You didn't care about the
Yeah.
fact that like they changed story points of real life figures to suit their own vision in Assassin's Creed. You didn't care about any of these things, but all of a sudden you now care. And if you didn't care about how Japanese people portrays black people, how they take from maybe their cultures when it comes to either rollerblading, hip hop culture, whatever it is, you didn't care about any of these topics when they did it, but now you care about it when Ubisoft is doing something similar. Just ask yourself why. And if you come to, and I guarantee you come to a very different conclusion than what you think, because these people know why they're doing it, but you're falling for their their agendas because you're probably not racist. You probably don't care about these things as much, but for some reason you find yourself being angry now. Just ask yourself those questions and you come to a conclusion, and hopefully it's a good conclusion. You know, I don't know how somebody can say I want gay characters in games and I refuse to buy this game that has a gay character, but then you say Mass Effect is one of your best franchises of all time. It doesn't make sense.
It is. It is. All right. All right. Dorian, oh my God, Dorian wants to go at it with you, but unfortunately, Dorian, we've come to the end of the show. We can retread this one properly and dedicate maybe the entire show to that next Monday. I wouldn't be against it. This is a topic that needs to get properly chewed into. So maybe if we don't have lots of news to go through next week, we can just sit here and discuss the nuances of reasoning. Because I also would like to push back a little bit on you, Ty, about this topic on um, not inferring but deducting people's intention when they say that they don't like DEI stuff. But yeah, um, I guess we'll discuss this next week. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us. Thank you for smashing the like button. Thank you for all your copious comments, super chats. Thank you so much for being members of TSWS and continuing to support us. We do this every single Monday. It's called Everything Plus Gaming. Tomorrow, y'all make sure to come through for Ham Solo's daily stream. And then after that, I'm going to try and play Dustborn. Lord help me. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Ciao, guys.